Welcome back to another Trade Alts technical analysis. And in this video, we're going to be looking at a few different altcoins. We're going to be going over important levels and see if we can identify any interesting trade setups. Let's get to the charts. So here we have BATBTC on the daily. You see we obviously have a bullish breakout in progress. Price closed above, outside of cloud. You have your bullish Kumo twist right here. So things look pretty decent on the 1-day time frame. You have this key level right here, and I got that from simply this. You see this wick right here. Another perfect retest right here is obviously big time resistance. And here you did get above it. But price is kind of, again, we've pulled back below it. Price has struggled to kind of get above this level. So I'm still eyeing this level for now. It would be great if we could obviously reclaim this level and continue higher. But for the time being, you have a weekly support level, which has been tested twice. So you can see, what's that, 3-4 days ago, right here. You got your weekly back test and it's held perfectly. Your daily key or your daily Tenkin is also right below it, sitting right at the top of the Kumo here. So this kind of zone is a really, this is your important support right here. So you have this kind of, this is kind of like your support zone that you really would like to see held. I would not want to see price, really lose this and close back inside a cloud. That would be a sign of weakness to me. But for the time being, on the daily time frame, this looks good. I also want to point out that you got a really nice edge-to-edge opportunity here. So when price closed inside a cloud, you got your edge-to-edge trade, which was basically somewhere around here. Might have been this candle. I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to look at this, but it might have been this candle. But basically, when you got your close inside a cloud and your edge-to-edge, you move to the opposite end of the Kumo. And that was a really, really nice trade if you had caught that. But again, your edge-to-edge trade, keep that in mind because I'm going to be talking about that again very shortly. But really, BATBTC looks pretty good as long as this support level holds. This is kind of a, so around 1,300 sats down to 1,267, something like that. This region I really want to see held. But to the upside here, you got some pretty important levels coming up. Let me actually, give me 1 second. There we go. Well, I already see that there is a fib that I want to pull. And let me actually redo it, turn my magnet on, that way it's exact. So here is your golden pocket retracement of the swing high to the swing low. This is always a really good pull. So again, this swing high up here, 3,700 sats, all the way down to 576. And your golden pocket, you can already see really good confluence with the macro point of control. Like this is a massive, massive level right here, likely to be important resistance if price manages to make its way up there. But, as far as this goes, I like it quite a bit. I would like to see this key level reclaimed, obviously. That way I can delete this level and move on. But your monthly likely to be pretty important resistance. It's pretty close to the 382. So this is yellow line right here. This is your 382 of this big pull that you've had here. But kind of what I like about this, if you look at the structure, so you have your low, high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. Like this is really nice bullish market structure here. And on the way down, all the way up here from 3,700 sats, if you look, this was basically a straight ride down. You had some, you had your bounce here, which no surprise, like this, the top of this wick is a very big time resistance right now, right? But for the most part, it was an elevator ride down all the way to the bottom. So a lot of times when you're trading charts that look like this, especially when you have this really nice bullish market structure that's forming, and it's on the daily time frame, like this is a pretty decent time frame for this to be happening, but it could very well continue higher. There wasn't a lot of support and resistance built up on the way down, so it could very easily continue higher. And obviously, I gave you the important levels, at least I'm watching. And that's how BTC looks on the daily. Now I'm going to switch it to the 2-day. And this is where things get a little interesting. So if you remember me talking to you about this edge-to-edge trade, right? So you're looking for a closure inside of the cloud. There's a few other components to that, which I'll talk about in a second. But you got your really nice edge-to-edge trade here. So if you go to the 2-day, you can see that we actually have a really nice edge-to-edge potential. And I like to see the Kumo, the top of this cloud that's just completely flat like this, usually makes for a really nice target. And so we'll look a little something like this. So you actually got your entry here. And I mean, you know, if you could have taken that entry, but I'll tell you why I think, and it's not just because prices come down, but I'll tell you why I really don't like this entry that much, and I wouldn't have taken it myself. It's simply because of the risk reward. So in an edge-to-edge trade, so let me delete this and just real quick. So in an edge-to-edge trade, you're looking for a closure, so a candle closure inside of the cloud. You want to see a bullish TK cross, so this blue Tenkin bullishly cross the yellow Kijun. So that's the second thing that you're looking for. And then the third component is this Chiku span right here, which is this purple line that my mouse is kind of following right now. You want this Chiku span to be above price. So if you're, you know, if you have a bullish edge-to-edge trade like this, and you're basically looking for price to move higher, those are the three components. So again, the candle closure within the cloud, you need a bullish TK cross, which you have right here. And then lastly, you need your Chiku span to be above price. What I mean by that is you can see price, you know, where the Chiku span is printing right now. Price is all the way down here. It's sitting up here, so it's above price. So you have all three things that you need in order to get this edge-to-edge trade that you would be looking for. So the problem that with this though, which I'll get into in a second, which why I didn't like this entry, is because the risk reward isn't very good. So where are you wrong on this trade? Well, it's simply if price exits cloud, right? Which this is a pretty steep, you know, and again, price was sitting here. You could have, I mean, I wouldn't have used this as a stop. And what I'm talking about is this, you know, price coming outside of the cloud here, because you have your Tenkin and your Kijun support here. For me, if I was going to take this trade, my stop loss would have had to have been below the cloud, like, and likely below this weekly, because this is another support level. And that's kind of like the benefit of having another form of confluence. And again, with Ichimoku, you typically trade it strictly, you know, Ichimoku. You don't incorporate really much else into it. But for me, I've had a lot of success with my levels, so I like to kind of incorporate the two. But you can see it's a huge, like, you're risking quite a bit on this trade in order to have it play out, you know, because like you need to give price room to do its thing. Now, to the upside, you would be targeting the edge of this cloud. So this is basically a little better than 1-to-1 RR, and it's terrible. Like, that's not something that I would ever want to take, because you're literally risking $1, or you're risking losing $1 to gain $1, essentially. Like, it's not, that's not good trading, I would argue. Now, if you were to take it where price is currently sitting, obviously the risk reward is going to be a little bit better. So again, this is kind of, you know, again, this is about where I would put my stop loss. You don't want to see price come below this weekly level. So it's mostly, you don't want to see it come below the cloud, but you can see your risk reward gets better. So now it's, you know, 2.3-to-1. So that's better. But still, for this, you know, for this type of setup, that's not really good enough for me. And kind of the reason why I'm going over this is because, you know, this setup appears, you know, if you're looking at 100 different charts, like, you'll find this setup, it'll show itself, you know, every once in a while. So, and this is a really good setup to keep in your arsenal, because for me, I trade Ichimoku quite a bit. I've had quite a bit of success trading specifically the edge-to-edge trade. And, you know, for me, it's definitely something that I'm always interested in. But if price now, like, for me, if you had, and, you know, if I was down on the daily time frame, I explain why this green box is important, right? Specifically, like, especially if you got an opportunity here on your, you know, as price moves forward, your Tenkin's going to move inside of the cloud. like you could get a better entry if, I mean, that's assuming price was to come down here. But let's say even if you took it like right at the top of this weekly, right? Your stop loss is about there. Now you're getting better, right? Just by being patient. And you got, you know, over the last 2 daily candles, you got this opportunity. And there's nothing saying that you won't get this opportunity again. But this, you know, 3.4 to 1 RR, this like risk reward, this is much better, I would argue, than, you know, taking the initial entry. So that's why I wouldn't, like me myself, I wouldn't have rushed into, you know, taking that trade right off the bat, because for me, like, it's not really worth, you know, risking the capital and setting and trading this appropriately for me to try to get this target hit. So that's, you know, BATBTC. But again, the thing that I like about this is you do have a really nice edge-to-edge setup here. This is 100% valid. And it goes nicely with what's happening on the 1 day, right? So like the 1 day, you know, things are looking really good. You have your bullish breakout. And, you know, so on the 2 day, you kind of have the confluence of the, you know, you have this edge-to-edge trade. So really, like, you're looking for price when it has this specific settings, you know, the specific setup that's happening right now. You're ultimately looking for it to reach over here. And I'll draw the arrow one more time. So you're looking for price to reach the opposite edge of the cloud, which, you know, if you, and this is obviously a potential trade setup, not financial advice, but if you did, like, that would be a 66% gain if you took this specific setup here, which is, that's pretty nice. I don't think many people would argue too much about that. So that's basic attention token. Again, I've, you know, as far as the chart goes, it's showing a few different, you know, bullish signals, some nice things going on. So I wanted to share it with you guys. And now I'm going to give you an example of a recent, so remember what I just talked about here, right? How you got your entry and price, you're looking for the opposite edge of the cloud. So here's BTCUSDT on the 2 day. And look at that. Now that's not always going to happen, obviously, but where did you get your entry? Well, you got your entry right here. And this is assuming that you took it, right? And it's kind of the same story. Like, would you have taken this entry because were you wrong? Well, you're typically wrong. You know, I guess you wouldn't have needed to use the bottom of this cloud because, like, there's so much, you know, you have plenty of time. And, you know, if price came back down and closed below it, there's no need to use this as your stop loss. You could have used this. So maybe it wasn't so bad, actually. Maybe the RR was pretty good. But essentially, your candle close right here, okay, at 106. Let me highlight it. So that's your signal. So you had the candle close inside a cloud. You had a bullish TK cross here. You see the blue Tenkin is bullishly crossed the yellow Kijun. And your Chiku span was above price. So your Chiku span was above price. This is the third thing that you needed. So if you had taken this entry, which is right here, your stop, I mean, really, like, you could have, you know, maybe you put it below your Kijun. I don't know if I would have given it that much room. This is hard to say. Like, and this is hindsight trading, obviously. So I don't want to like pick the perfect spot or anything, but, you know, let's say that maybe you use the Kijun. Again, this is tough because you're, you know, when you're trading something like this in real time, and especially if you don't have like the ultimate cloud structure, like I would have liked to see cloud kind of more flat than have this dip here. But, you know, typically like a Kijun, like hiding behind the Kijun is not too bad of an idea. So if you got to the top of the cloud here, that's still a 3.55 RR. Like, this is really nice. Like, this was a really nice trade that it didn't take very long to play out at all. And so I just wanted to share with you kind of like how you could have played this. That way, when you see these setups play out, or when you see these setups come, you know, when they're on the charts, at least you'll have a better idea of how to trade them. But what happened? So you got your signal right here telling you to go long. And where did you get your rejection? Perfectly right at the edge of the Kumo, right? Perfect. And then price backed off. I don't know what happened the next day, if it went up or down first. I could go on lower time frames. It doesn't really matter. But your initial rejection was perfectly right to the edge of this cloud. So that's what you're looking for. And that's also why you take profit, you know, around the top of the cloud, and you don't really get greedy, because this, you know, you're looking for this to get hit. And then once your target is hit here, you can see that the cloud is still bearish, right? So this is a bearish cloud. Back here is a bullish cloud. This is a bearish cloud. So you're waiting for price. Like, so what could happen now is on the 2-day time frame for BTC, you could literally watch price, you know, it could just consolidate here. Who knows? It could do any number of these things, right? Until you see this cloud start to flip. You want to see your Kumo twist here, your bullish Kumo twist. And right now it's still flat here. It did, you know, you made up quite a bit of, you got, you know, this angulation was really nice, but you're still kind of a ways away from this cloud turning bullish. So price could very easily consolidate within this cloud for a long time. I mean, it could be a few months. So that's why you take profit though. When you're edge to edge trade, your profit was literally the top of this cloud. So that's what you're looking for. And then just to point something out, which was really like, this is not, I mean, it's not surprising obviously, but if you took your fib from high to low, which let me actually put the magnet back on. It's kind of annoying sometimes. So let's make sure I get the exact levels here. So there's your bearish fib retracement from the swing high all the way up at 310 and then all the way down to the swing low here. Really nice consolidation, by the way, here. This is kind of what you want to see. This is not some, you know, this is really nice consolidation before you got to move up. But what do you have? Well, surprise, surprise, surprise. Came right up into your golden pocket. And, you know, so again, your initial trade setup here tells you to take profit here. Price backs off. And then it actually pushes right up into the golden pocket here. So this is another reason why I use Fibonacci extensively in my technical analysis, because of situations just like this. Like this happens quite often. So knowing where your 618 is, knowing where your golden pocket retracements are, very important, I would argue. I'm a huge fan of them, and I will be having trading modules coming up very soon explaining Fibonacci, explaining Ichimoku and all that if you're not sure how it works. But this is BTC again. Just wanted to show you, you know, on the 2-day time frame, you got a really nice edge to edge trade, worked out flawlessly. And you know, it doesn't always work out that perfectly this quickly, especially, but considering where basic attention token is, and I'll go back to it just so you can see where we're at, right? So we'll come back to this, like we'll monitor this over the next, you know, however long it takes. You know, either price you're going to lose your structure here or you're going to hit your target. So we'll be monitoring this, you know, for a while until something happens. But I just wanted to show you and compare. So again, here you're really looking for this. This is kind of your ultimate target for this, the edge to edge trade. Now on to Polkadot. I wanted to talk about this one for a little bit because I see some things are changing a little bit. Now, I don't know if I want to start off on the USD. I'll start off with Bitcoin pairing, I guess. And kind of like there's a little bit of a change of behavior here that doesn't have me worried, but it just makes me a little cautious, because you got, you know, obviously the Tenkin here. So this is your daily Tenkin. It's held price up really nicely. I mean, like it's, you could have bought the Tenkin any of these points and you would have done incredibly well. Like this was really good support. But you see the divergence, right, between your blue Tenkin here and your Kijun. When they're this far apart, this really starting to look to me like a mean reversion. Like you could see price come down and test your Kijun. Which would likely be, I would love that. I think that would be a really nice opportunity. But this is about, you know, this is kind of what you're looking at. And this is starting to kind of form a C-clamp. But you can see here that your Kijun's actually angling up, which is a really good thing. And the forecaster here is telling me that, you know, it is likely to move up aggressively over the next week. So that would really help. That would actually really help DOT. And maybe it doesn't dip, you know, it doesn't dip as crazy as some of the others, but, you know, let's see, like, is there any other things that we could look at here that might give us some better ideas of where we could also have some structure? So naturally, like when you have moves that are like this, so you have your big impulse, like this is a really big move. And then you have this really nice kind of grinding. This is like grinding price action, right? So one thing that I like to do is pull a fixed range of this price action. I just want to know where the point of control is for this price action. And it lines up really nicely with your Kijun, or where your Kijun is going to be, you know, over the next few days. So let's say something happens and, you know, Polkadot takes a dip, you know, on the Bitcoin pairing, which likely means it's, you know, probably not doing very well. But this would be another nice form of confluence here for the mean reversion play. So like if you do get price coming down to, you know, visit these levels or whatnot, like this is another form of confluence here that tells me, hey, like this could be a pretty nice trade. So it'd really kind of be like a zone like this. And again, these are only two, you know, I like to have more than two forms of confluences really before I take a trade. But just having a Kijun, so like when you have an asset, so when you have Polkadot, it hasn't tested your daily Kijun in quite a while. Usually, especially the first pass gets respected really well. So that on its own would likely be good enough for me to want to take that trade, to be fair. Again, not financial advice or anything, but just kind of sharing my thoughts on it. So as far as the you know, dot Bitcoin pairing goes, I'd be real careful. You know, again, Tenkin's held up very nicely this entire run. You can see though how far away your Tenkin is from your Kijun. There's that really big deviation there. And now you've actually lost the Kijun. So you got to close below it. I'm sorry, your Tenkin, your blue Tenkin. So you got price close below it. You know, like, does that mean it has to drop? No. But what this tells me is that, you know, the odds are starting to go more in favor of getting this mean reversion. You know, again, if the Kijun here continues to go up over the next week, maybe you just get a shallow dip, you know, in a few days, whatever it is, and then price could continue higher. But this is definitely something that I'd be paying attention to, because I think this could be a very nice trade. Now, real quickly go over the USDT pairing, because again, I think most people trade the USDT pairing, but I've said it before, it's really important to know what's going on with the Bitcoin pairing, because that's the one that you really should be paying attention to. Like, that's what is going to, you know, determine whether you should be trading it at all, or trading it, you know, which direction you should be trading it, or if you should just be trading Bitcoin, right? Because the goal here is to, you know, be trading whatever is going to, you know, give you the best like opportunity to make money. So that's why like the Bitcoin pairing is really important to monitor. But if you go down to a lower time frame, let me turn off Ichimoku real quick. So you can see, I mean, we're in a pretty decent channel. It's not perfect, but you got a lot of touches. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, I mean, like this channel is pretty well respected. You got your low, come up close to the high. I mean, this little deviation here, totally fine. But this channel overall is pretty decent. The midpoint's respected quite nicely. You have a really big level of resistance here. Your weekly at 39.58. You know, that's kind of like governing new all-time highs, in my opinion. You really need to reclaim this resistance, and if you can do that, I think you push, you know, likely push to the top of this channel again, and, you know, probably new all-time highs. It wouldn't surprise me. To the downside, again, you have this channel, which really is just a trend line, right? This trend line, you know, the bottom of the channel has been very nice support so far. So, you know, if we were to come down and test it again, you know, there could be a nice opportunity there. But you also have a weekly level at 33.80 right below it. So this could be a nice trade as well. And I'm just curious. Or to take a fixed range. Let's do the top. Yeah, I mean, so your point of control and kind of where price is. So your point of control is sitting, you know, in between your channel and your weekly. So I mean, this, you know, if I were to draw another, like this could be you know, something like this, you know, kind of like this zone. Now, again, you're getting out of your channel, which again, you can have deviations. It's not perfect or anything like that, but you have your channel, your weekly, your point of control of this entire piece of price action. Like this point of control is a really important support that it needs to hold. If you lose this weekly level, I think that you would likely revisit these lows, to be honest. Like I think you would, you know, you have a daily level here, very well respected here, but I think if you lose this weekly again, I think you would probably be coming back down to visit, you know, somewhere around 29, 28 bucks. Wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I mean, that's Polkadot. See if I see anything else. I'm going to delete this. Let's go to a bigger time frame. See what's going on with Ichimoku. If anything else lines up, well, look at that. So your daily Tenkin is sitting right. It's basically right at the bottom. It's basically sitting right on your weekly. But this is another nice kind of form of confluence, right? Again, if you bought your Tenkin this entire way up, look how many chances you had here. You know, you had so many chances to buy the Tenkin. Now, these obviously flushed through, but still, like, had you bought these, you know, price, you did get your bounce, could have been a decent trade. But this is another form of confluence here that lines up pretty nicely. So, you know, that's pretty decent. Another real quick one that I kind of see, maybe there's a fib that lines up from this low to this high. And again, let me delete this, turn my magnet on. And yeah, so you have your golden pocket. I don't know if you can see that. Let me zoom in for you. So you have your golden pocket that lines up right here. And this is just of, you know, this. So you got your last swing low up to your swing high. So this also lines up in this zone. So I really like this area. You know, it could offer up a nice trade. I'm going to delete this because it's kind of making a mess of everything. But again, it's nice to find like multiple forms of confluence. So this region, you know, if price did come down here, that could be a nice opportunity. But just like I talked about in the Bitcoin pairing, you know, it looks like, again, your Kijun looks, it's you know, I like the angulation. I like that it's starting to move up. The forecaster is telling me that it's likely to move up kind of aggressively, which will help close this gap. So here's a really nice example. Here's a really nice example of a C-clamp. So this is like a C-clamp, if you see the letter C. But this, when you get this kind of formation here, you gotta be careful of price reverting. Like this is like an early kind of indication to me. So you can see back here, the Tenkin and the Kijun really close together. Like this is what you want to see. Like this is perfect. You want to see them close together, even as they're going up. I mean, this is okay. Like they're angled though. Like the angulation is really strong here, really good. But as you start to lose, you know, as it starts consolidating here, so you got your impulsive move up and then it starts consolidating, you can see that you lose your bullish momentum, right? So as momentum fades, your Kijun will start flattening out like this and your Tenkin will continue up, and this forms this kind of C-clamp, right? So when you see that, it's kind of, it doesn't always work this way, but it's kind of an early warning indicator that's telling you, be careful, because you could have a mean reversion, which would mean, you know, price comes back down to equilibrium here, which this is where equilibrium would be. And then it's, you know, once you come down, likely you get a decent bounce off of here. I would be interested in that, not financial advice, but that would, you know, bring price back into equilibrium, and then, you know, it's free to do as it's gonna do from there. So that's DOT. Again, nice opportunity here, I would say. Maybe a scalp if you're trading leverage. Not that I recommend that or anything, but this could be a nice entry. And again, you know, if this weekly level is lost, then that would be your cue to exit, in my opinion. But this, if you get a chance to buy DOT at 25 bucks, if it comes down and tags this daily Kijun, I would be definitely interested in that. But that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope I was able to help you out a little bit. Please like and subscribe. It's a new channel, just doing my best to build it. But again, hope you enjoyed the video. Trade safe out there. Have a good night.